Dear Twin Flame souls out there, welcome to the Twin Flame Awakening Journey podcast, and today is an episode 134. And today we are going to talk about spiritual fear, the duality that we have been fed in terms of divine masculine and divine feminine. And I know I was about to talk about frequency. I was to talk about the law of attraction in frequency and what it means and how to embody it. But as I know on this journey, sometimes my soul feels, sees, connects with something. And then since past week, I would say from last Friday, when I went to a training in Italy for the energy, I could not get this out of me. And my journals are filled with this information from the channeling, from the meditation, from everything. And if you haven't listened to any of my podcasts before, but you have been watching a lot about what your divine masculine is feeling, what your divine masculine is running from, why they are not awakening, then I recommend you to listen to this episode. And this episode now might be a little bit hard to hear, a little bit hard to digest. But I want to bring some awareness. And that awareness comes from my soul, from my heart. And I hope in the sense of, and I'm going to say very quickly, I'm not here to convince you to believe everything. I'm not here to change you. I'm not here to tell you how to believe in this journey, what to believe in this journey, what is right and wrong. That's not an idea. It's just to bring an awareness. And you don't have to believe me. You can try this on your own and see what happens. So in this episode, I'm gonna talk through what I see is keeping us in a loop. How ChatGPT told me something, what is the biggest lie of this, all humanity, all of that. I bring in you the exercise or an idea that you can try. You don't have to believe me. I always say on my podcast, don't trust anyone, don't believe in anything, but at the same time, try and see if it works for you. So don't walk around that I don't believe, I don't trust in this, but try. Try and see what happens. So today's episode is, in the sense of the polarity, what we have made is the divine masculine and divine feminine. And one of the most Google things is what my divine masculine is feeling, when my divine masculine is returning, why they are not awakening, why they are not this. And there's a reason for that. Where there is a demand, then there is in a sense of you're given the answers, you're giving the solution. But I want to say you are never separate from your divine masculine nor from your divine feminine. And there's a big problem with these labels and the fear. Right before we dive into that, I want to say to every one of you that, as you know, at the month of May, we give away for 4 people $100. Whoever comments under Spotify or on YouTube, you have a chance to win in cash $100, and you can do whatever you want with that. Whether you wish to have an energy activation, whether you wish to have channeling, whether you need to buy food, whether you need to buy yourself a new dress or put aside for yourself to grow your abundance. Anything, it's your free choice. But your comments and your stories are more than welcome. And when we pick up the 4 of them, we'll get in touch with you. Another thing is on 25th of February, which month I'm living? 25th of May, we have another group session on Patreon. And today I'm also putting out on Patreon for those who cannot afford or don't have a possibility, free month, 10 can't afford, or whichever reason is, it doesn't matter. There are 10 free accesses for a month. And overall, you can always join the Patreon. There are a lot of workshops, there are a lot of meditations, access to the live workshops, and your 7 days are always free. And you can just test it, see it, you don't have to continue. So that's just an information. So what triggered me another day, a week ago almost? And I never thought I'm going to make an episode about that. I was posting something on our TikTok account, and of course before I post, there was some kind of an information that came that, yes, the energies are very intense right now. If you are on a twin flame journey, then be ready that right now your divine masculine is going through a very hard time and the energies are intense and hard and you know how you're going to suffer. And I paused that. I didn't watch this until the end, so I might be biased. But for me, it was, for a moment, I just felt, why do we give a fear on this journey? Why every planetary change, whether it's a full moon or we have Venus retrograde or Mercury retrograde and all of that, why in a spiritual world we give more fear? Why? Because it works. When there is a fear, we freeze. And we see that our so-called matrix, our so-called life is built on fear. Fear for you not to be free, not to listen to your soul, because you have to follow certain rules. You have to know how it is. You have to be perfect, because the moment you make a mistake, there is a punishment. So a lot of things are built on fear. And when I see the same things on a spiritual world where we try to separate things, it hurts. It hurts my soul. Because there's no separation. But when we go into the fear, and there's a lot of things, why is it working? And I saw there were a lot of comments underneath, and there were a lot of likes, and I felt, the more we are manifesting fear, the more we're going into separation and not in a oneness and union. And then we are on this loop. We're constantly in that loop of fear. And that is, my friends, a little problem. Because when we are feeding ourselves with an energy and someone is constantly telling you how intense energies are there, how it is hard, how your divine masculine is suffering, all of that, it becomes your reality. And from there to come to oneness and union is very, very difficult. And why I talk about this in that manner, because at the end of the podcast I will explain you what you can do and see how the shift starts to happen. And if you have been the one also, and it's not to shame here, it's not to say anything wrong you're doing here. But I wish that this would have been told to me when I was going through a very, very hard time and I did not understand what is the union, what is the so-called separation. I did not understand any of this. And so I was feeding myself also with an information of what the divine masculine is feeling, why they are not loving me, why is it like this, am I the only one who is feeling the pain? There was an endless time I Googled this kind of things. So the idea of this podcast is not to tell you that the fact that you are consuming this kind of content or this kind of information is negative. It's just about to bring you an awareness, how you can shift and change. And this is not something I am making up, and I am here to tell you that I know everything. I know nothing. And this journey keeps on teaching me. This journey keeps on showing me. So saying that I know nothing, and here is something, I just want to bring you the awareness. And that's all what it is. You take it from here as it is supposed to. So when I was at the training, and I had that last week, that I really felt why the fear, why we are giving the fear on this journey so much, instead of showing that every shift and change is actually an upgrade. It's not a negative thing. Pain is not a negative thing. Crying is not a negative thing. Falling apart is not a negative thing. But I can also articulate with my words into the pain, separation, all of that. So as I had deep meditations, a lot of things, and of course into that podcast, not everything is going to fit, and I try to make that as simple as possible. And now I'm going to tell you what, it was out already on Instagram, those who are following me there, but I asked the ChatGPT, and I'm going to read exactly how ChatGPT said. What is the biggest lie that has been sold to the people and humanity? Because I saw that someone was asking that, and I wanted to see what my robot will tell. Because we know that the robot has been trained with data, with information. So I was just curious to know what it's going to say then. And the answer was very interesting. And so the answer was, that's a profound question. And the answer depends on a perspective: historical, spiritual, philosophical, or political. But if you look at that from the deeply spiritual and existential lens, one of the biggest lies ever sold to humanity is you are separate. And the lie shows up in many forms. That we are separate from each other, that we are separate from the nature, that we are separate from the divine, from source, from love, that worth must be earned, the power lies outside of us, in governments, system, religions, and other people. And this illusion of separation has led to us wars, fear, control, suffering, colonization, spiritual disconnection, and even environmental collapse. It's the foundation of ego-based structures of fear-driven societies. And in truth, many spiritual traditions and awakened beings teach the opposite. That we are one. We are connected to each other, to the earth, to the cosmos, and to the divine intelligence. Love, freedom, and worth are here. There is no other, only reflection of ourselves. And when humanity awakens from this illusion of separation, everything changes. And that was very, very profound to me when I read it in that sense. And again, because we see this all the time, divine feminine, divine masculine. I am divine feminine because I'm the awakened one. The other one is divine masculine. But that's what keeps you in a separation. You're one. You have both of these energies inside. And I see that also now we have changed and shifted so much on this journey. But I see that often when people are coming to the to the group calls or things like that, that I am divine feminine and I am this and I am that and my divine masculine, the runner is this and that. And so we separate and it works. Fear-based things work. They work very well. They work well for your mind and ego. But your soul knows you are never separate. And when I saw this clip on this other day, where it was about this building up the fear, and I was just like, it has to stop. This is not spirituality. This is not soul talking. This is getting likes and comments and shares and giving dopamine to people to keep into that loop. And can I stop that? No. And it's not my idea to stop this. There's a light and there's a shadow. There is something that has to be there. Always. There's always two of us. But I also say, watch where your energy goes. And that's what you will discover at the end of this. And So now on a twin flame journey is a very big misunderstanding that, and it's not about that I am right or wrong. I just want to really say I wanted that you would think of it. You would think along and you will see, oh my God, why I'm separating myself, why I'm not coming to oneness, why I don't have the trust. And that's the process. That's just the process. Believe me, I've been exactly the same place like you. Exactly. So it's not here to say that you are doing something wrong or you don't know how it is and you calling yourself divine feminine is a wrong thing. No, it's not. But now when I'm going to say you something, you have heard that many, many times. Who are twin flames? Let's take a moment over here that you would connect and see who are twin flames. And twin flame journey is to realize for you that you're one soul, yeah? You're one soul, you're oneness. You're always one. You've never been separate. So you're kind of like, you were never separate and you're one soul experiencing duality to remember love. And that's a very important word here, duality. We start to separate divine feminine, divine masculine. And as long as you are separating them, you are in a separation. Because you are believing that there is a divine feminine and there is a divine masculine, not oneness. How the human is born, for example. Is it a human only born from divine feminine, so-called, let's say, from the feminine? No. It's a co-creation of feminine and masculine. There is no way of having you in this world as a you who you are that you don't have feminine and masculine DNA connection inside of you. Everything is oneness in order to make the union, in order to make you, you. So it's not separate. A feminine is not separate from masculine. A masculine is never separated from feminine. These two things are not separate. You are one. And so what we hear on online often, what comes in, and that's very normal. Again, it's not here to shame someone. Believe me. The idea is not that. The idea is to open your consciousness, your awareness, to realize that's why the energies are not merging, because I am telling we are separate. We are separate because I'm telling he is masculine or she is masculine and I am this. And it works like magic. Fear-based content, fear-based marketing, fear-based systems, they work like magic for our ego. But once you are awakened, your soul is not afraid. Your soul is not afraid of separation. Your soul is not afraid of truth. Your soul is not afraid of growth. Nothing. And that's where the shift starts to happen. But until we are in a so-called separation, you're ego-driven. You separate things, duality. So what a lot of content, what we find is like, he must be or she must be the runner because it has masculine energy. Or she is the chaser because feminine energy, and feminine awakens first and feminine understands first. I have to be very soft and surrender, so then they'll come back. I know when I do things differently and I'm going to be different, they're going to come back. And divine masculine has to wake up first. Then it's going to happen. And a lot of other things. But it doesn't work like that. If you're trying to control or perform and to earn union, it will not work in this world. And I've said this so many times. If you do any healing, if you do any exercise, if you do anything from the mindset, then the union will happen and it will happen to me, it will not. Even today's exercise that I'm giving at the end of the podcast, if you do that from the mind that now I will see what starts to happen, now I will know, then things will change. You go into the ego because you need proof and you don't hear your soul whispering. There's a powerful, painful dynamics where one waits and the other withholds. So you are in a waiting mode, which I have spoken a lot about it. But the real thing is that all of these energies are inside. You are divine feminine and you are divine masculine. It's for you to discover what is out of balance and what needs for you to embody. Not for another person, because you are one already. And I see this so often as I do a lot of energy work and a lot of connection, as we're connecting from the consciousness. We are so connected. I can speak to many of you. You can speak to me without having a conversation. And I'm not making this up. Many of you have experienced that. But that comes from the soul. It doesn't come from the mind. So the truth is that we each carry both energies. And the union happens when the divine masculine within you rises to meet the divine feminine, and vice versa. On Patreon, you have divine masculine exercise where you can see how wounded or things are there. There's also a divine feminine that I'm going to upload. And you can do that. You can try. It's not about to tell you that you are doing something wrong. If we would have come into this world we have actually all of that knowledge, but what I mean, we embody all of that. We wouldn't have that human experience and connection who we are. But now we are awakening, where consciousness is telling you, you are not separate. And that's the biggest lie. You're not separate from your neighbor. You're not separate from another country. All of these identities that we're building to build fear, anger, separation. This is what keeps us separate from our own soul and from the love. And so masculine and feminine cannot function one without another. And first it has to happen inside of you. So it's something to embody. So the masculine is consciousness, presence, direction, protection. And the feminine is flow, emotion, creation, surrender. And when these two energies harmonize within you, you feel whole. You feel one. You know everything. Everything makes sense to you. And then all your outer reality, including your connection with your twin, starts to show you the balance. And that's why when we keep on seeing this, they don't do the work. They are this. It keeps you in a trap. And the twin flame connection is very, very intense. And so the so-called lie of separation can very easily feed into that. You feel, but I'm doing the work. So where are they? They are not waking up, which is actually not true at all. Every single energetic upgrade you are doing inside of yourself, not based on the fear, but based on love, connection, unity, oneness, whole, feeling it inside of you, will reflect on every person around you. And you don't have to believe me. You don't have to. Just try. Then we are in this blame and projection. They are not awakened enough yet. They don't understand. They are not on my level. This and that. Then show them a way. Show them the light instead of blaming. How do we learn things? Let's just put into the perspective when you are a child, for example, and you start to learn how to read or write, however, whatever. And if I would be next to you and say, you don't know these letters, you are so stupid, you don't know how to read this, what do you know? You will never read it. What happens? We start believing that I don't know how. I don't know how to awaken, I don't know how to read, I don't know anything. And we stop. But if you are going there and saying, it's okay, today we learned that much. You learned ABC today. We're going to learn again. So the blame and projection, which is internet is filled with that, keeps you in a separation, whether you like it or not. Waiting and being passive about it, that union is when they will come, when they return. And all of these are still rooted in the idea that someone else must change or return for you to be complete. And this, what is the one that creates you the suffering, because you externalize your power, you give the power outside. You give away of your truth, you give away the connection. So, and why I talk about this is because it's dangerous. Like if you've been thinking why I'm not getting into the union, why my twin flame, for example, is not returning, why these things are happening to me, all of that. Spiritual awakening is not walk in the park. And that's another truth we know about twin flames. Your twin flame appeared in your life to awaken you, to awaken your powers, to know who you are, and the vice versa. So when we constantly say, I am the divine feminine and he is the divine masculine, or he, she, however, we actually unconsciously, we externalize on one polarity and internalize the other. And then we create energetic dependency that blocks true balance. So this can sound a lot of like this, that I have to stay soft and surrender for him to lead. I have to wait until he steps into his masculine. But that puts you in a role. That puts you again into like, I am this and I have to be like that. No, you have to follow your soul. And it disconnects from you, from your wholeness. That's how simple it is. The more we are using these labels, the more we are trying to stay in a separation from saying one isn't like this, one is like that. It just keeps you in a separation. And there are a lot of stages on this journey. So right now, what I'm saying can be for you very, very difficult. You'll be like, no, I'm the divine feminine. I have to do this. I have to do that. But then one point you start realizing that you're both. And true divine union isn't about being feminine enough to attract your twin. It's about being whole enough to no longer need them to complete you. And that's when union becomes possible from a space of alignment, not addiction. And now I'm going to that addiction part. When I saw that video last Friday, and I saw how many people were commenting, and I could see that they are in pain. I could see, because everybody, obviously, it gives you that dopamine hit for a moment of feeling, you see, I'm feeling the pain. That's why it's happening. That's what is over there. And so you get excited. But we don't look into, okay, what this pain is leading you. Is that pain is helping you to liberate something you've been carrying for so long. Instead, now you are putting that energy into another person. And you are focusing like another person, but you don't focus within. And that's dangerous. That's dangerous for your growth. And so when we assign these fixed roles, it stops the stance of inner union. It really does. The longer you are separate from these energies, the longer you have the separation. And I remember when I had to go into the very deep healing part. I didn't know that I'm going on a healing journey. I had no idea. But I was given a shaman out of nowhere for free. The shaman came to my life for free. I went on a retreat, and and that's why I've been a very big fan of holotropic breath work. While I love Kundalini energy, that I work a lot, and I believe it's one of the most divine, one of the most profound energies you can ever experience, and that's why twin flame journey is divine. Holotropic breath work in the beginning is a very good thing to do because it will shut down the mind, the separation. Because when I was at the retreat and we did the holotropic breath work, it was my first time, and I could see the oneness. I could see the oneness of me and my twin's energy, and all of this happened there. And when I came out of it, I said, I'm not crazy. We are one. All of this is real. I knew it all the time, but I didn't trust it. Then my twin was in 3D world telling me the exact same words. So what happens is that if you only nurture your feminine part, for example, you think I'm a feminine, I'm going to surrender, I'm not going to do, but you ignore your inner masculine, or vice versa, doesn't matter which way. You delay the true merging of energies within. And that's why also I'm going to bring in, I'm not going to talk too much about the Kundalini today, as I've been talking a lot about this recently. I'll make a separate episode, of course, of that. But Kundalini starts to merge this energy. The Kundalini wants to get it out of your system, that you are not separate. And that's where the pain comes more and more and more when you've been activated with this. Meaning of, you believe today, I am separate, I am divine feminine, I'm doing this, but my divine masculine is a complete loser. You say these words to yourself. You don't say that to another person. It's yourself, because you are one. Everything you say, everything you believe is inside of you. And when you don't shift and change that, nothing's going to happen. The outer reflects the inner. And if you're split within, the connection will mirror that. To come into the true union, both twins are being called to balance the feminine and masculine within themselves, heal the inner wounds of rejection, abandonment, and control, rise into the wholeness, to the one, not to have the spiritual drama. And this is, today I really want to tell you, watch what you consume. If there is anything fear-based that tries to separate you from the truth, don't consume that. I haven't watched news 2.5, 3 years. I don't have any news apps. I don't know what's happening in the world. Why? Because it's tried to separate me from the oneness. There's nothing positive ever there. Have you ever read anything on a thing that is a positive? No, everything is negative. So when you consume all of that, what starts to happen? You expand that. You expand all of this. I was asked a long back ago a question like, why bad things are happening? I said, well, because we are giving attention to it. And the more we're giving attention, like media outlets, how do they make money? From negativity. They don't make money on positivity. But you as a soul, you have a power to change and shift that. So watch what you consume. Watch what you connect to. And see the change and shift happening. So what to do? What to do if I want to say I'm divine feminine, I'm the chaser, I'm the one who awakened up, all of that. So rather than saying all the time I'm divine feminine, try to say I'm balancing my divine feminine and masculine within me. I'm balancing the divine feminine and masculine within me. I'm learning from the both energies. They're showing me something. I'm releasing something where I'm putting too much energy, and I'm receiving where I'm not having enough. Your divine feminine is your intuition, softness, emotion, and flow. And your divine masculine is your protection, action, clarity, and presence. And you are meant to be both. And so is your twin. So why is it, in the sense of why I talk about that today, one of the things, I just wanted that you try something and see what starts to happen within you. You don't do this exercise because you want them to come back or hear from them or change or shift or anything. I want to know what's going to start to happen inside of you. That did you start to feel and see things differently? One of the things is when we constantly look at these captions and headers about divine masculine and they give you this information, you give your power away to the external. And that's, I have on Patreon, there is this PDF where you can see what happens when you focus on someone else. You give away your external energy. You just do that. Constantly you give away your energy. And that's why I always say that people who gossip, people who say things about it, they live on other people's, you give the energy to them in a sense of external, and nothing can change inside of you. And when you're constantly watching, let's say, tarot readings or things like that, or energetic upgrades, or fear that we have Venus retrograde and we have Mercury retrograde, and you watch this kind of things like, what is the divine masculine feeling? Is he coming back? When they will awaken? We are energetically pretty much saying that my peace, clarity, and worth are dependent on someone else's journey. Everything what they do, then I have a peace. And this creates energetic disempowerment and will give you the belief that all the answers lie outside of you. But in truth, actually, your intuition, your inner guidance, and your healing are the compass. There's nothing wrong with tarot. I have never said that. But if it takes over the power from you, then you are in a loop. And the biggest danger for twin flame union is when you're abandoning yourself while waiting for them to return. And this is a very big thing on this journey, because your twin flame came to show you who you are, awaken you, to show you the truth and show you the love. And while you are in a separation, waiting for them to come, and waiting for get any piece of information, you're abandoning yourself. And in the beginning, it doesn't look like a chaos. It often looks like love, devotion, and faith. But deep down is still a rooted lack, fear, and separation. And there are dangers of this part. And that's another thing why I believe that this video triggered me in a certain ways. Is that you start to believe that the twin is the key to your happiness, to your mission, to your peace. So you literally hold back your whole life, your expansion, the love to yourself, waiting for them to be ready. And you don't start anything, everything that your soul is craving, asking, connecting, you don't start. But the true union cannot be born from the self-abandonment, where you leave yourself second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. And then you start thinking of the union as a reward instead of reflection. And that's another problem with the inner work and all of this. If I do enough work, inner work, if I stay surrendered, I stay in love, the union will come. But that treats this union exactly like a goal or a test or a prize that I believe, and I was the victim of that. When my twin returned back to my life, with all of these words, he told me everything. Oh, it felt good for my ego. I felt, you see, I wasn't making this up. It wasn't something. And I felt like I have a clarity. But then it took another months and everything to get into that inner harmony. Union is a reflection of inner harmony, not what's going to happen in 3D. And chasing union while you're disconnected from your wholeness just delays it. Just delays it, because we are one consciousness, and you don't have to believe that we are one consciousness. You don't have to believe any single word of mine, what I'm saying to you today. I say just try this and see what starts to happen. And if you stay in the illusion of polarities, of that duality, that everything is separate, then you are still in the illusion of separation. And what did I say in the beginning? What was the first thing what ChatGPT told us? What's the biggest lie that's given to humanity? The belief that we are in separation. So true union arises when both polarities are from you first. So the more you are divine feminine and divine masculine, the more you are in separation. Because it's from the ego. And whether we like it or not. That's why how I can say when people ask me, how can you channel the twins' energy? They come to the channeling session and the question, how can you channel the energy? Because you're one. You're one. I can, when we do the also the how do I say, the group consciousness upgrades and everything, we make a field where information flows. So when you give me access to your field, I have an information. And there is a lot of truth in channelings, a lot of truth, but the ego tries to separate that truth. And one of the biggest danger, and this is the next thing that my soul and my mission is on here, is when you put your life on pause because of the reunion. But often on this journey, your soul's mission, your creativity, your service, your light, your words, your presence, your however, is that activates your twins' remembrance. And that's another thing. Shift the idea that you are separate. Even today when you're listening, you know that you are made of masculine and feminine. You have a father, you have a mother. There is no other way. There's a light and a shadow. There is a moon and a sun. But if we have one too much, what happens? What happens if we have all the time darkness? Nordic peoples can say, when it's very, very dark, is it pleasure? No. Is it always a very much fun also if it would be only sunlight the whole time? Heat, heat, heat. No. Balance. Balance is what brings everything alive. And the balance must start within yourself first. Union is not the purpose. Your soul's expansion is. And the more you live fully, you love fully, and you embody your truth, the more magnetic the union becomes. And I don't make this up. You can listen to my previous episodes. I just spoke about the truth. I speak about the magnetism when you shift and change. And this is all from my own experience and also seeing others. And I never thought that this episode I would be making, but I feel I understand now in a certain ways why we stay in a separation so long. And now here is another thing, what really often we see. The ego can say, reunion means I have succeeded. Exactly. When you have your twin, and we see that also. Oh, I'm together with my twin, I have succeeded. But that's not true. Doesn't matter if you are in a union or not, it has to be inside of you. And there are many reasons why it's sometimes not happening in 3D. So, and I want to say another thing as well. The brain is wired for survival, not for the truth. That's what's the difference in between when we talk from the mind and when we talk from the heart, from the channeling. Because your brain is constantly looking for safety, patterns, certainty, control. And that's why the twin flame ego death is very, very painful and very hard one when that happens. Because it triggers the deep unknowns, it starts to trigger your truth, energetic merging, ego death, and your brain panics. Because your brain doesn't know how to hold this crazy paradox, or like this energetic knowing, the knowing what we often talk about it, that we are one, but we appear separate, we are not the same person. No one says you are the same person, but you're one consciousness. Or I can love them and let go of them. How that may works. How can I love someone and then let go of them? But love is not about holding someone in the cage. Would you like to be, if someone would say, I love you so much that I put you in a cage, that you will never disappear? That's not love. That's control. And the union comes through surrender. And that's another thing. I speak about it as well. You need to surrender into. But surrender must be felt, not something that it's going to happen. And so the brain, in order for brain to cope, the brain splits the experience into duality, meaning of me versus them, chasers versus runner, masculine versus feminine, awake, awakened, pain versus relief. And that splitting creates a control for your brain. And it helps your brain to deal with that. And now there is also a thing with our brain runs on a dopamine. And that's another big problem, because dopamine is something we can get addicted to. And so every time, let's say, you think about it, when your twin is returning, are they missing me? Are they awakening? Are they coming? Your brain starts to get this dopamine hit. And that can happen when you watch tarot readers, you're constantly searching for angel numbers to make sense. You look on the old messages, you reread them, you check on their social media. And that's another danger when you are receiving this information over and over and over again. And then you have this emotional stimulation. And then what happens when nothing comes? You crash. You feel anxious, you feel empty, you feel abandoned, like nothing happened. And then you seek for another hit, another tarot reading, another sign, another thing. And this is not love. And this is an addictive loop created by the nervous system for you. And it regulates this overwhelming soul activation. And I'm going to say it's a very normal thing. So it's nothing that you're doing it wrong. I have a lot more to say, as I'm going to say this is a lot very beginning. But my idea is today to tell you, try today from today on. Do these things, what I'm going to tell you. Number 1, stop calling yourself divine feminine and the other part divine masculine. Just forget about it. Forget about the label. You no longer, for the next 21 days, you no longer call yourself, I am divine feminine, I am feeling this way, I am this, I am that. You say, I'm whole, I'm one. I'm one consciousness with my twin. I'm going to feel love, I'm going to be connected. You don't separate yourself. Number 2, you go through what you're really following. If you're following a lot of pages of updates where you can see that the fear has been put on, your divine masculine is like this, your divine masculine doesn't feel this, there is a retrograde, there is the new moon energy, there is this, and if it's worded in the sense of building up fear that you're doing something wrong, remove that. Try for 21 days that you do not watch any of this type of content. Just try. And number 3, try to do something energetic, some energy work. Whether it is for you to go and do Reiki, whether it's for you to sit down and do channeling and meditation, deep one, at least for an hour, do it. Whether it's for you to do Kundalini activation, whether it's for you to go to breathwork session, whether it's for you to do shamanic work, go to the anything you can do. Just for this next 21 days, think of yourself, I'm gonna merge these energies inside of me. How you gonna merge them? What you gonna do? I say, you let it happen. I'm not here to convince you that you're doing something wrong. But I wanted that you feel what starts to shift and change when you do these little changes. And you no longer see that journey as a duality, you see this journey as one. That everything you change and shift inside of you, your balance inside of you, will reflect in 3D. And I let you to do that. But don't not do that from the perspective, I do this and my twin red friends. Don't do it. Then just leave it. No. Do it that your soul can surprise you. What's gonna come from there? Anyways, that was an episode that I didn't plan. But it feels good in a certain ways to put it out in a way of from my soul truth. And I'm not going to say that you or others have to agree with that. I'm going to say try it on your own and see what starts to happen. So yeah, like I said, we have a 25th of May, a workshop where you can join, come. Patreon members, I give away 10 free passes for a month. You can come and join. If you don't like, you don't have to. None of this is mandatory. None of this has to be there. Or like you have. I just give you an option to discover yourself inside. Because I know how hard it is to go inside. I know how difficult it is. And then a third one is if you feel like you need to talk about it, you need to channel some energies inside of you and your twin and see what are the polarities, what are the things that are not shifting and changing, or to do energy activation, which is my perspective, of course, one of the most powerful. And I'm going to explain you also when we do the energetic upgrades, how your body wants to pull you back to the old self, and there is a reason for that. And that's why it's not so simple. And I've said it a million times. I'm not here to shame or say that somebody's doing wrong. Never. Because your body wants to go back what it knew before. And that's why it's not so simple. And also to shame or to say that divine masculine is not understanding, it's not as black and white. So yes, those of you who would like to, twinflameawakeningjourney.com. There's a little training I have in between of working with energies again. But in May, there are less available places, so just try to book yourself in advance, because if it's full, unfortunately it's full. So do that earlier than later. And yeah, that's it. I'm very happy that you were here. Might have been an intense episode. Might have been how it is. However it is. It's just I hope that will bring you a little bit more love, oneness, and you know that you're connected.
I'm your arms when you're weary. Go on, lay your wounds on me. You don't know how much I can carry. You don't know how much I care. Throw me into the deepest ocean, and I promise you I'll swim through the highs and the lows. You will find me, and just know that I'm here to stay. Like every wave will find its way a child. You're the glue for my pieces. With you I know I can grow. Counting days and hours from the distance. 'Cause wherever you are I call home. And all along it's all been making sense. With good and bad still we got no regrets. I've been down, I've been wounded and beaten by the ones that I cared for most. But with you I think I found home. Like every wave will find its way back into the big blue. I will find my way to you. And like a harvest moon, turn from darkness into gold. That's how you know that you found home. So here we go now, slowly open up your eyes. Let me be your guide. Stepping stones together. Do you see it now? You're still a child. Like every wave will find its way back into the big blue. I will find my way to you. And like a harvest moon, turn from darkness into gold. That's how you'll know that you found home.